Hello everybody, my name is Jacob Travers. Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the screen in your MSI GS73 laptop. So my specific laptop model here is the MSI GS73 Stealth -16. There's two other closely related models of this laptop, the -12, the -14. And then this is the -16. They're just different specs, but I believe the body design and everything is all the same. So these instructions, I believe, should work also for the 12 and 14 models. And I don't know this for certain, but I'm guessing that these instructions will basically work for any of the MSI laptops with this similar sort of screen and hinge design. So I guess now let's just go ahead and get started with the replacement process here. Alright, so before we get started here, a few of the tools we're going to need. First off, just pry tools. I usually like to get something flexible, something that has a little bit of give, but it's still pretty rigid. So this thing I'm using here is just like a little knife sort of thing, but it works great as a pry tool. Something else that could also work really well is something like this guitar pick here. So we're also going to need a heat gun. You can pick these up for pretty cheap online. This one I have here is a Porter cable one. So we're also going to need a small screwdriver. Right here I have a number 0 Phillips screwdriver. And then last thing we're going to need is some of this double-sided electronics kind of tape here. This stuff I'm using here is pretty thin, but I think it should work. Alright, and before you get started on this, make sure you've got a nice soft surface to work on, something like a towel or a cloth or something, just because we don't want the laptop to get scratched up. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do here is obviously turn it off. We don't want it to be on while we're messing around inside of it. Alright, so once it's all shut down, what we're going to want to do is flip it around on its back on the screen. Then we'll open the screen as far as it will go, and then we're going to want to put something under the back here to keep it propped up. So I'm just going to use this random box that I have sitting around. Just kind of going to put it back here, and so it can just kind of sit nicely like that. Alright, so the basic idea of what we're trying to do here is just trying to take this outer bezel off the screen. So first we're going to have to start off by unclipping these two bottom little wing things here. Then we're going to heat up the whole frame here because it's held down by adhesive, and then we'll pry that band off, and then there will be some screws that hold the display itself in. Alright, so first thing we want to do here is take our pry tool. I'm using this knife thing just because it's thin and easy to use, but I believe the guitar pick should also do the job. So just take your pry tool in here, super nice and gentle, try not to scratch it or gouge it or anything. So you can see I've gotten it in there a little bit, and then we'll just pry it up. You'll hear a little pop, and there we go. So same procedure over here on this side. We're just going to take our pry tool nice and easy, go in this crack here. This one's going in super easy. Stick it in a bit and you'll feel a little pop, and it looks like that corner is now free. Alright, so now we're going to want to take our heat gun, and we're going to start warming a corner of this bezel here. I usually warm it until the point where you just can barely touch it. We're going to want to take something like a guitar pick now, something a little thicker, and then we're going to pry that in here. Just kind of pull this up with your finger and then use the guitar pick to kind of slide along and release this adhesive. Alright, keep going along here. Oh, that's really easy now. Alright, and that's that whole side there. It should be basically free now. Yeah, and there we go. Alright, so let's around here. Alright, so as you can see, now I'm able to just kind of pull it up. Yeah, just like that. You're going to want to be careful with this here. Try not to crease it or anything. Just be super gentle trying to kind of pull it off here. Be especially careful around this camera because this piece here is plastic and you don't want to crack that. Alright, that's good. So keep going on through like grab this even, just pull this off. Just like that. There we go. Alright, some more decal. Alright, so keep going some more here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Alright, so as you can see here, I've got these three sides of it released. I'm guessing this bottom one's going to be a little bit harder. So let's get started on that. This part just kind of pulls just my fingers. Be super gentle with it. Just not a great way to fit the press there. Alright, and there we go. I think I'm all done taking this off. Just there we go. So there's the frame off the screen, the bezel. So now we can see the actual screen unit here. So you'll see there's 4 small screws around the corners of the screen of the display here. There's one here, one here, one here, one here. So go ahead and take your screwdriver and just start unscrewing these screws here. Alright, so make sure you track the screws. Alright, so go ahead and set the screws. Okay, and just for reference here, there are 2 different types of screws on this. There's 2 black ones and 2 of these metallic ones. The 2 black ones go on the side towards the keyboard, and then the 2 metallic looking ones go at the top. So yeah, just take your pry tool, stick it right under this little metal piece right here, pry it up, and there we go. We can see that our screen unit is detached. Alright, so what we're going to want to do now, we're going to tip our laptop up like this. We're going to take our pry tool again and just gently lift this up just so we're not going to damage anything. There we go. Alright, so you can see we have a little bit of a gap in here, and don't just pull this off. We're going to want to rotate it downwards, kind of like this. The reason being is there's a video connector here at the bottom that connects the screen to the laptop. And let's go ahead and lay this down on the keyboard here. Alright, so now we're going to want to remove this connector here. Alright, so first there's some tape that we've got to get off here first. It's holding the connector on. So I'm just going to take my pry tool here again and just start to peel this tape up. And there we go. And what we're going to want to do now is just gently grab this end of the connector here where the wires are coming out. We're just going to gently grab that, just kind of pop it out. There we go. Alright, so our screen unit is completely detached now, so we can go ahead and pick this up, take it out of here. So now in with the new screen. So we're just going to set it down on the keyboard again here. Make sure you set it down the same way so we can plug the video connector back in. Alright, so we're going to want to plug in the video connector into the new display now. So what we're going to do here is just kind of hold the connector by the wire, kind of like this. You'll probably want to hold the tape out of the way with your other hand. Then what we'll do from there is just kind of line it up with the slot and just kind of gently push, just gently kind of try to seat the connector in there. And once you've got it just kind of seated, you can release the tape and take your other hands and just press this back in. Something like that. Just take a good look in there, make sure the connector's looking like it's all the way flush in there and everything. Once that looks good, we're just going to take this tape and we're just going to stick it back down. Alright, so now it's basically just reverse order. So we just kind of tip the screen back up here, being careful not to stretch the video wire, and we'll just kind of set it here in place. Make sure you line up these 4 small tabs. They kind of little posts that they slide onto, so make sure those are lined up, and it should seat in there nicely. Alright, so now let's put the laptop back how it was before, with it on its back on the screen, kind of propped up by something. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to go and put these screws back in for the display. So, and then there's a small channel for this wire here to run through, and we're going to want to make sure that the wire is going around all the clips that it's supposed to. So I'm just going to get it in that channel using my pry tool here. So there's push down, just make sure it's actually in there. Alright, so that's looking good. It's running nice and straight along the back here, in between the little clips and stuff. And so this right now would be a great opportunity to peel the protective layer off the display itself. Let's just go ahead and take that off. Alright, and just before we start putting the bezel back on, just make sure that these wires going through the hinge here are in place and don't look like they're going to get squashed when we try to put the bezel back on. Alright, so you can see on my bezel here, when I took it off, it kind of messed up a lot of the tape along here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut, so like these parts that are really messed up, I'm just going to go ahead and cut those off. Then for these other parts that look better, I think I might just try to reuse those. So I'm just going to go around these areas here where I had to cut the tape off, and I'm just going to put some of that tape that I showed you earlier. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and place the bezel down onto the screen, just kind of like this. I find it's helpful to look at the camera cutout and make sure the little dot, you know, the actual dot in the camera sensor is like very centered in that hole. So once you get that lined up, you can just kind of hold that there. Then kind of come over to this edge, kind of see if you can pull it tight, and then just kind of push it down like that. And that looks like it went very snugly into the corner. We'll do the same on this side. We'll just kind of hold the middle down, kind of pull this up to the edge, and we'll stick it down. We will need to probably reapply heat in order to get this to really stick nicely. So once you've kind of put those in place, you're going to just kind of go along like this with your finger, just kind of pressing it on, just along this one first, kind of like that. It looks like I warped it a little bit when I was heating it up before, but I'm thinking that'll probably bend, or it'll probably fix itself when I heat it back up. So now you're on the side here, since we're going to hold it inward, hold it your hand, stay down. Don't go over this, pushing it out longer, get started. Alright, so I'm not going to clip in this hinge thing yet. I'm going to try to get this side stuck down first. Alright, so yeah, once you feel good about the bezel being all the way back on, this should be finished. So let's go ahead and flip it back around and turn it on. And moment of truth, it looks like it's working just fine. So yeah, that's everything we need to do. It looks like it's all fixed now. It looks great. I can actually see my desktop icons now. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you, and if you have any thoughts or questions or anything, just feel free to leave them in the comments below. And thank you for watching.